Hi, my daughter doesn't respect me, so I'm here to change my life. Well, today I became a surgeon. My diploma?
This is printed on the back of a Chinese takeout menu. You've clearly been scammed, Mom.
Today on LitePsych, we're going to talk about scams, the psychology behind it, who are vulnerable, and what are the factors that go into these evil schemes. A surge of phishing scams came about because of COVID-19, those that promised a cure or even made up some financial donation drive that didn't really go towards the COVID cause. This is just another variation of what we all know to be various forms of scamming all over the world. In fact, researchers have found that the emotional damage that we experience from scams can be just as detrimental as the financial aspect of it. There are two main factors that make scams different from your normal crimes. Number one is that scams are typically done from a distance and they're not done in person as it would happen for theft, for example. Second, scams will never work unless there is some form of cooperation from the victim. Often, victims give personal data, give their money, and establish some sort of connection, communication, or relationship with their scammers. Because of this, shame and embarrassment becomes a factor in reporting some scams, aside from the damages that we talked about earlier. With that, researchers have actually found it a hard time to study scams just because people don't really show up and say, hey, I've been conned. Despite that, we will look into what we do know about the factors surrounding scamming. The first are demographic characteristics of scams, particularly that of age. The stereotype goes that older adults are more likely to be scammed, let's say about 65 years old and above. However, it's actually the middle-aged adults that are a bigger target and are tricked more often. Middle-aged individuals actually comprise the biggest chunk of victims, but there are no definitive reasons why. In relation to COVID-19 scams, reports have found that individuals aged from 30 to 39 years old have actually filed the most for COVID-19 fraud complaints. Another report found that adults aged 35 to 44 are more likely to fall for mass marketing scams, those which are found on the internet, on your phone, and in different forms of media. It gets kind of confusing if you mix in other variables such as gender. Some research have found that middle-aged women are more likely to fall for romance scams. These would be your fake dating apps, catfishing. Research has also found that older adults in general are more likely to fall for cyber scams. What we can see here is that it's a mixed bag. There are many factors to consider when we look at age and scamming. There isn't a clear picture or correlation between these two variables, and the same applies to education, gender, income, and ethnicity. For instance, surveys have found that males are more likely to report being victimized as opposed to their female counterparts. Better educated adults are associated with higher rates of being defrauded in investment-type scams. However, they also associated with less intention to respond for mass marketing solicitations. Ethnicity is also something to look at because of the lack of representation of non-white participants in the different studies highlight. However, a study has shown that Hispanics and Black Americans are more likely to fall for fraud than white Americans. It's definitely a mixed bag when you consider things like age, gender, ethnicity, and then you look at the different kinds of scams present there. What is clear is that there is more room for improvement and growth when it comes to this area of study for scams. Now we're going to look at the individual differences. What sets apart a person who likely fall to a scam than who doesn't? Let's start with cognitive ability. Researchers found that an overall decline in cognitive ability as well as executive functioning leads to impaired decision-making. This is more true for adults aged 75 to 89. On the contrary, higher cognitive ability protects us from phishing-related attacks. Individuals with higher emotional intelligence have been found to respond less to scam solicitations and mass marketing schemes. Self-control and risk-taking are two factors that have been commonly linked with criminal behavior as well as the ability to create sound financial decisions. Lower self-control is associated with being a fraud victim, particularly that of cyber and romance scams. Research has also shown that investment scam victims were more likely to impulsively buy things, therefore showing less self-control. Similarly, lottery scam victims have been shown to not really plan their purchases. So it can be argued that self-control can be a predictor for both past and self-compliance with scams. There are individuals who view scams as gambles. Therefore, risk-taking comes into play. Those with a higher appetite for risk experience scams twice as likely as the normal person. This happens because, like any other victim, they think that they're going to profit off of these schemes. However, like the other factors and variables we've talked about a while ago, more definitive research is needed for us to concretize these claims. Finally, let's discuss the techniques that goes into scamming people. How do they do it? Usually, they would use emotional cues, cost-benefit considerations, and behavioral commitments to lure their victims. Research has found that for these people, if they are presented something that's slightly enticing, they are more likely to fall for it again. Additionally, they have found that people are less likely to respond to scams that have a high activation cost. Literally, if a scam will cost $100 versus $5, the people would not go for the $100 consistently. No significant results have been found for authority cues, that is a scam that is posing to be Walmart versus an unknown brand, or for scarcity, if a scam has a deadline or not. With everything that we've learned so far, we've found out that we don't know much about scams, and what we do know right now is still a mixed bag. But we are sure that they will continue to exist, and therefore it's important to know how to protect ourselves from them. Here are our 5 simple tips for you to avoid any kind of scam. Number 1, just do your research. When you come up with something, it wouldn't hurt to Google a little bit, ask experts or even ask friends what they think about the proposal that you're considering. Number 2, always protect your personal information, from your birth date, your home address, to your ID numbers, and even your one-time PINs from your different accounts. Under no circumstance should you be sharing these with strangers very, very easily. Number 3, regularly check your account and transaction histories for your bank accounts and your mobile wallets and your crypto wallets, just to make sure that the in and out of money is something that you are aware of. Number 4, protect your passwords. Don't share them with your loved ones, no matter how much you love them. Always make it strong, include symbols, capital letters, numbers, and don't use the same password for all of your accounts. Number 5, remember to practice general awareness, be it online or in person. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. What are the scams that you've heard most about? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Follow us at LitePsych on Instagram, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you never miss out on the latest psychology in simple terminology. This is Jen. See you next time.